I care a lot. I really do. But that's actually the name of the movie I'm about to review. I saw it last night on Amazon Prime. Let me get right into it. So this movie is a thriller slash comedy, and it's kind of good and kind of bad. And I'm going to get into it. So the movie premise is a legal guardian who's quite shady crosses paths inadvertently with a violent Russian gangster. So, who do we have in this movie? We have actress Rosamund Pike. She plays the main character in this movie, portraying Marla Grayson, who is a legal guardian of people that are elderly, that are technically not able to care for themselves. The court appoints her as a legal guardian, but she uses this to her advantage. It's a scheme. She takes advantage of those that she feels she can come and swoop in and be their legal guardian, throw them in a retirement home, sell their house, go to their safety deposit bank, basically rob them blind, right under the nose of the legal system. Whether or not this goes on in real life, I don't know, but it is pretty scary, the premise of it. And so she plays the main character, and we see in the first 20 minutes of this movie her scheme, and I gotta say, it worked because it angered me and infuriated me, where she is a true villain. That's the way I saw her in this movie anyways. Let's get into some more characters. So her girlfriend, Fran, is portrayed by actress Elza Gonzalez. She does a great job. I'm not sure if she's a police officer or ex-police officer, but she seems to know a lot about law enforcement and the ins and outs, and she's able to run plates and query people on their systems and see where this goes on. So I assume the movie's based in California. It looks like it is, somewhere in Los Angeles. And we see the latest victim she preys on is an elderly female who seems to have her wits about her. As a matter of fact, you see in an intro that she goes to her home, she's driving her own car, seems normal. And somehow they do what's called an ex parte court hearing, where she's not there in the court hearing. And basically a doctor who's in cahoots with the main character here, Marla Grayson, rules that she's not able to care for herself. So the actress here is a really good actress. It's Dianne Wiest, and she plays Jennifer Peterson. So a bit of a mysterious character. Seems like your innocent elderly lady, and that's the latest victim and target of Marlon Grayson. Now, I don't want to go into any real spoilers here, but I am going to touch on some light spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie, go and watch the movie. Stop watching my review now and come back to my review after and tell me in the comments what you thought of the movie. But I'll go into it this much. So it starts out as a kind of a thriller, but it dives into comedy realms here and there, and it dives back into thriller. And that's kind of good and bad. I'm going to get into that later in my review. So anyways, Jennifer Peterson is the latest target of this Marla Grayson, who is a complete scumbag in this movie. Like, truly, you want to see a train run over her. She's that evil. The way she manipulates people, destroys families, and it's all for greed and money. That's all it is. It's one big scam after another. So we start to see she's now being put in a retirement home. Jennifer Peterson, against her will, she's being drugged with many sedatives. And then we see some mysterious characters go to her house, which is now for sale. I believe it's actually being sold. And they realize she's no longer there. And she has a connection to one of the leaders of the most violent Russian mafia ever. And I'm not going to give any spoilers away there. But we're introduced to the leader of the Russian mafia. And his name is Roman Lumyov. And he's played by a great actor, Peter Dinklage, who's well known for his roles in Game of Thrones. He's done some comedy here and there. He did a great portrayal in Elf. I loved him in that movie. The station agent. Very versatile actor and good at what he does. He's menacing here as this Russian mobster. He's the type of guy you don't want to mess with. And he's got resources galore. So basically, unbeknownst to the scumbag, Marla Grayson, she has now gone to war with the Russian mafia. And so it becomes a cat and mouse, twists and turns. And basically Peter Dinklage rages a war against this character. So I gotta say, I was captivated by the film. I mean, the film itself, I believe, is an hour and 58 minutes, so roughly 2 hours. I was captivated from beginning to end. But you didn't really know who to root for here, because both characters, main characters, Peter Dinklage and Rosamund Pike, they're both bad. But I will say that out of all the two characters, I actually think that the character of the Russian mobster probably has a little more goodness to him, if that's saying anything, than the other characters. So you don't know which one to root for here as they're going at it with each other here. The thing is, there's a couple huge gaping plot holes in this movie, or basically scenes that just didn't make sense. And I'm gonna have to touch on it. So here comes the spoiler territory. There is a scene in this movie where it's pretty much the end of Rosamund Pike. Okay, she's placed in a situation that seems there's no way out by the Russian mafia, and essentially, they basically throw her car into the water, and she's gonna drown. She gets out of it, and it's pretty amateur hour here as far as how she got out of this situation. I would say, and hazard to say, the Russian mafia aren't sloppy like that. They would have done it right from the beginning. And then her girlfriend's in a similar situation where they've beaten her, but they don't kill her, which doesn't make any sense. And they leave her in this apartment building with the gas running. Um, Again, some small plot holes here. Could it happen? I guess it could. So maybe it's not a plot hole. It just didn't seem very realistic to me at all. So that bothered me. I gotta say, the person who steals this show is actually Dianne Wiest, who plays the senior citizen Jennifer Peterson. She is great in this role. You know, there's lots of twists and turns. You think she's this innocent, grandma type lady. She's not. And I will say a darker side of her comes out in one of the scenes, and it just blows you away when it does. So I got to say, the movie was captivating. But the problem I found in here is it was using some funny moments with some really violent moments. And the two didn't really mesh together. And I'm going to go into another spoiler just to prove my point on that one. There's a scene where the Russian mafia go into a resting home to extract a certain person, and they come into contact with kind of a goofy security guard. We've seen him. He's kind of a goofy character in the beginning. You kind of feel for him. He's a bit of a comical character. And for whatever reason, the Russian mafia and this guy get into a shootout where a few of the people, including the security guard, are basically brutally murdered in front of your eyes. But that's supposed to be funny somehow. I'm sorry, I just didn't catch it. That's the problem with the movie. Had it just gone one way or even slightly the other, it would have been really, really good. It's not a bad movie, don't get me wrong. I found it difficult to navigate between comedy and violent action. And I'm a fan of violent action, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think the two really mix. You can't really have them together in a realistic type of fashion here. Also, some other plot holes. Some of the Russian mafia are with the police. You hear what happens to them or how the police really interrogate this situation. I will say the ending of this movie, you didn't see coming. There is an original ending to this movie between the two major characters of Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage that you didn't see coming. And I give credit where credit is due. That was well done. I will say I was captivated by the movie. I wasn't bored. There was one twist after another. But there's a few plot holes. But I think, again, just the violence and the comedy didn't mix. What do I give this movie on a scale of 1 to 10? I give I Care a Lot a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a great movie either. But it could have been. It really could have been. Can there be a sequel for this movie? Highly unlikely. But I will say that it's a great movie. I'd watch it again. But again, I think it couldn't decide between comedy and action. Sometimes you can have both. Don't get me wrong. You look at the Lethal Weapon series. It's a light-hearted action movie with some comedy. That works. But when you have an extremely violent action movie like this, and you're throwing a comedy plot in, or you're starting to feel for a character like the comedic security guard, and then he gets violently killed, I don't find that amusing. So, I don't know. Again, I recommend it. 7.5 out of 10. It's currently on streaming services now. I would suggest check it out. Watch the movie. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe my channel. All right, see you later.